So one of the example would be, let's draw a crystal structure. Let's make sure we have. Okay. 1, 2. Okay, this is the one crystal structure. Then there's another one that has it's symmetric to this one. So it seems like they have neighbors. All the atoms on the surface, they have neighbors. This one has this neighbor. This one has that neighbor. They all have neighbors, but actually their neighbors are belong to a different crystal structure that has this mirror symmetry to that crystal structure. So that's a special, kind of a very special green boundary. And we won't go deep into this because just by looking at how green boundary look like, and the material scientist can tell you, wow, this green boundary give you this property, that green boundary give you this property. But in this class, we won't go deep into that. We just need to know we have different types of green boundary. This is a special one. Another thing that can cause the interfacial defect is called stacking fault. We watched the video that the two guys like throwing small balls in a box, right? When they try to packing all the balls in the box, they find out, wow, they have two different ways to packing all the spheres in the box. And when you have different ways to do that, there's a stacking fault. So when this happens, you have vacancies, empty space in the packing. So this stacking fault usually happens in FCC and HCP. So it's arrow in stacking, HCP structure or FCC structure. As we learned, FCC and HCP, they have the same APF. They have the same number of atoms per cell. They're pretty similar crystal structure. The only difference is how you pack them in 3D space. Okay, so those are the things we need to know about interfacial defect. Remember, this is 2D. The 1D defects is all the point defect we mentioned, missing atoms or impurities. Those are the 0D defect. And the linear defects, remember on the notes, there are two types of linear defects, which is 1D, edge dislocation and screw dislocation. And now here, the interfacial defects is 2D and pretty much equivalent to green boundaries. And of course, we have 3D defects, which is called bulk or volume defects. So this is a 3D. For this type of defects, we will not go to details. Just need to know this is a result from material processing. That's it. That's all you need to know about the bulk or volume defects. Okay. Okay, so far, we have learned all different types of defects in materials. And those defects we learned in this chapter, chapter 4, are all significant and they're inherited in the materials. It's not something you can get rid of easily. So there's, as long as you have a material, there are always defects. There's 0D, 1D, 2D, 3D defects. No matter how careful you are, and there will be defects. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so that's about chapter, this is chapter 4 or chapter 3? This is chapter 4. Yeah, but anyway, we're done with defects. That's all we need to know about defects. And next week, we're gonna learn diffusion. I won't start on diffusion today since we have another thing need to do today. Yeah, now you can put this away. That's all you need to write down on your notes. So next 20 minutes, we have a discussion activity to do. Want you to think about, yeah, we have learned so much from the first half of the semester, but which one is important? What are the things you learn you think is important for you as an engineer? Garrett? Stress strain diagram is important. Any other answers? I think we have different people have different opinion on this.
How and why things fail, and if you can predict that.
How things fail, how you predict that. Okay, that's pretty important for engineers, for you think? How about you? Okay. Ductility. Understand different properties a material can have. What other things you think is important? I want you to think maybe a little bit higher level. Yeah, those are the things, well, yes, it is important to us. We're engineers, we want to know those things to use material.
You could look at like the types of structures, FCC, BCC, or HCP, and then you could find different ways to make a certain material stronger, maybe by filling it in.
Okay, we can manipulate material properties by knowing what they are, manipulate their behavior. Okay, yeah, those things are very important. That's how we have our world. A lot of things, materials are modified along hundreds of years. Now they're stronger, way stronger and better than they were before. Any other things you think is important? Oh, you guess, maybe it's very important, but we haven't talked about. Anything you think that should be very important for engineering materials? Materials will react with each other? Okay. Yeah, those are pretty important. That's, well, if there's corrosion problems, right, you need to know if this material is going to react with the environment. If there's corrosion, it affects your strength, reduces the lifetime of the material. So that's important, but that's more like chemical engineer stuff. So we won't touch so much on that. Okay. There's something that is more important than all the stuff you just talk about, but we haven't touched on in this class. That topic is, what is the impact of that material on the environment, on the society, on the economy, on the safety, healthy of human beings or even animals? So that is something more important. But, well, the textbook doesn't have it. But I think that is something even more important, you need to know. So there's no way that we can teach this, but I think you can kind of get an understanding from this by discussing with each other, by doing some research outside class. So the first activity I want you to do is talk in groups and talk about the material you picked for your project, and think about what is the impact of that material, the impact on different aspects, any aspects you can think of. It could be, hey, that material is pretty dangerous when you touch it, or maybe once it's broken into small pieces, it could be dangerous to inhale. Or maybe it has an environmental impact. Maybe it's destroying someone's culture or destroying the whole forest in order to get that material. So I want you to discuss in groups and share, maybe try your best to think how your materials have the impacts, and how you can also kind of help each other think about what type of potential impact it could have. All right, I want to give you maybe 10 minutes to discuss, so I will work around and to ask your opinions.